In the mud-soaked trenches of World War I, a group of men fought longer on the front lines than nearly any other American unit. They fought under the French flag, wore foreign helmets, and earned foreign medals because their own country wasn't ready to recognize them. They were the Harlem Hellfighters, and their legacy rewrote what it meant to serve, sacrifice, and be a soldier in America. The 369th Infantry Regiment, later known as the Harlem Hellfighters, was a primarily African-American unit formed during World War I. Originally part of the New York Army National Guard, they were activated as the 15th New York National Guard Regiment in 1916, long before America had even entered the war. Back then, segregation and racial prejudice ran deep through both society and the military. Black soldiers were often relegated to labor units, digging trenches and unloading supplies. But the men of Harlem, laborers, porters, musicians, students, and factory workers, volunteered to fight. And they were ready to do far more than haul gear. When the U.S. joined the war in 1917, the 15th New York Infantry was federalized, renamed the 369th, and eventually sent to France. But there was a problem. White American commanders didn't want them on the front lines. So, the 369th was assigned to the French army instead. The French, desperate for reinforcements and far less concerned about skin color, welcomed the regiment. They gave them French weapons, helmets, and rations. And then they sent them into battle. The Harlem Hellfighters fought for 191 straight days on the front lines, the longest of any American unit in World War I. They endured gas attacks, trench warfare, and brutal artillery bombardments, never backing down. Two of their soldiers, Henry Johnson and Needham Roberts, became legends after single-handedly fighting off a German raiding party. Johnson, wounded 21 times, was later awarded the Medal of Honor, posthumously, nearly a century later. The 369th came home as heroes in France, where they were awarded the Croix de Guerre for their bravery. But in the United States, things were different. Despite their valor, the Hellfighters returned to a country still unwilling to treat them as equals. No national parades, no military honors, just Jim Crow laws and silence. Still, their arrival home in New York City sparked a massive parade up Fifth Avenue, organized by Harlem residents themselves. Tens of thousands cheered as the men marched, celebrating the unit that had defied expectations and fought harder than anyone expected them to. The Harlem Hellfighters story didn't end in 1918. The unit was reactivated during World War II as part of the segregated U.S. military. Though renamed several times, they continued to serve, often still denied combat roles, yet contributing through engineering, anti-aircraft support, and logistics across Europe and the Pacific. In 2005, the unit's legacy was formally reactivated under the 369th Sustainment Brigade. And in 2021, the U.S. Army officially recognized the Harlem Hellfighters as a distinctive unit with a permanent place in military lineage. The Harlem Hellfighters weren't just a military unit. They were a challenge to the status quo. They fought not only a foreign enemy, but also institutional racism at home, proving beyond question that courage, loyalty, and sacrifice know no color. They broke down barriers, they inspired generations, and they paved the way for the eventual integration of the U.S. military in 1948. The Harlem Hellfighters didn't wait for permission to be great. They just were. On the battlefield, they earned respect. At home, they demanded recognition. And in history, they carved out a legacy of defiance, discipline, and dignity. If you didn't know their story before, you do now.